Your Excellencies, distinguished friends, fellow citizens, I have always observed this day with two emotions held in tension: deep gratitude to our forefathers and a restless question for ourselves. Have we been faithful stewards of the freedom they won, and have we truly advanced the nation they left in our hands? I shall return to these questions later. But first, today we gather not just to mark a date on the calendar, but to honor a legacy written in sacrifice, courage, and unbreakable resolve. A legacy forged by men and women who stared imperial power in the face and declared with unshakable conviction that Kenya would be free. Their struggle planted our republic on the firm foundation of liberty, unity, and democracy. They gave us more than a flag. They gave us a future. 62 years ago, the brave architects of our nation placed in our hands the priceless gift of political independence. On this very day, 62 years ago, our forefathers lowered the Union Jack and raised the flag of our nation. But that victory was not given easily. It was bought at an immense cost. The road to our nationhood was carved by the unbreakable spirit of our freedom fighters, men and women who refused to bow to the humiliation of colonial rule. From villages to towns, from farms to factories, to classrooms and marketplaces, Kenyans from all walks of life rose as one, declaring that our humanity would not be diminished, delayed, or denied. And when brute force was unleashed against them, their determination outlasted it. Thousands paid the ultimate price. Many more were detained. Whole communities were uprooted. Punishment, pain, exile, and prison became the tools of repression. But what no empire could crush was their determination, resolve, and the unity of purpose. Across ethnicities, across regions, across class and creed, they became a force history itself could neither silence nor stop. Their sacrifice opened the path to self-rule. Their courage delivered the independence we celebrate today. And it is upon their shoulders that our republic stands strong. The architects of our nation overcame the trials of their time. While our challenges are different, their lesson is eternal. They rose to the dictates of their moment. It was not easy, but it was necessary. And because they did it, we are here today. So, today, fellow citizens, history turns its gaze upon us and asks, faced with the challenges of our time, have we stepped up as they did? When he took the oath of office, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta warned us that independence would mean nothing if it did not improve the daily lives of ordinary citizens. Tom Mboya reminded the nation that the greatest struggle, and indeed the hardest struggle, was not political independence alone, but development itself, the economic empowerment of our people, and the unlocking of their full potential. They stood and they understood that freedom was only the beginning, that the deeper battle would be against poverty that chains potential, against disease that steals opportunity, and against ignorance that dims human possibility. And so today, we are gathered to mark Jamhuri Day. We do more than remember history. We honor the architects of our nation for giving us the first great watershed period in our nation building, political independence. Just as the first generation rejected colonial domination and set out to confront the new enemies of poverty, disease, and ignorance in all their forms, they discovered that independence did not amount to freedom in its full and fullest sense. Along independent Kenya's history, power became centralized, dissent was silenced, competition was crushed, fear replaced hope. Once again, however, Kenyans rose, and from their struggle emerged the agitation for democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. In the darkest days when it was dangerous to speak, brave Kenyans spoke. When it was illegal to organize, courageous Kenyans organized. Students, clergy, lawyers, journalists, workers, and politicians stood firm against detention, against torture, against exile, and even death, so that Kenya could break and breathe again. This generation of courage produced towering figures whose sacrifice expanded the democratic space we enjoy today. Foremost among them was the late Right Honorable Raila Odinga, a stalwart of our country's democratic journey, who left us just under 2 months ago. Raila devoted his life to the pursuit of freedom, justice, and peaceful coexistence. His courage, resilience, and unwavering belief in the power of the people shaped defining chapters of our national story and inspired generations to believe that change is possible. I now respectfully urge all of us to join me in observing a 1 minute of silence in honor and remembrance of the Honorable Raila Odinga and honor his sacrifice, service, and enduring legacy. Tafadhali nawaomba tusimame kwa dakika moja kwa heshima ya kiongozi wetu Raila Odinga. Asanteni sana. Asanteni sana. May his spirit continue to guide our nation forward. His resolve, as well as the resolve of our forefathers, gave us the 2010 Constitution, a charter that restored the sovereignty of the people, restrained imperial power, entrenched rights, and devolved government and authority to the grassroots. But it promised something even greater. It guaranteed economic and social justice. It declared that health, housing, food, water, education, and social security were not favors. They were fundamental rights. It was a bold promise. It was a moral imperative. It was the unfinished dream of both the independence and subsequent generations. Yet today, with honesty and humility, we must admit that this promise remains incomplete. Yes, progress has been made, but the deeper promise, a Kenya where every citizen lives with dignity and shared prosperity, remains unfulfilled. For too long, stagnation has returned in cycles. Negativity has been normalized, and too many have been asked to make peace with mediocrity. That is why, before the last election, we had already realized that although we had achieved political independence and our constitution expanded our democratic, human rights, and the rule of law, we still had not fully consolidated our nation. These two milestones, great as they were, had over time been undermined by the paradox of the marginalization of the majority. We saw clearly a system in which a few rose to the top of the pyramid, while millions at the base struggled to survive, with education outcomes compromised, healthcare beyond reach, access to affordable credit denied, housing unattainable, and farmers abandoned, while our youth were locked out. That is the reason we introduced the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, to bring the marginalized majority back into the heart of our nation, to ensure that no one is left behind, and to begin the work of social engineering necessary to pursue the broader dream of economic freedom. We had to begin where marginalization and exclusion had been greatest, that is at the bottom. And so, over the last 3 years, we have made bold choices. They have delivered results that are unprecedented, unmistakable, and consequential. For years, we spoke of agriculture as the bedrock of our economy and farmers as our pillars. But the truth is, we did not truly know them, and neither did we truly prioritize them. Today we do. For the first time in our history, over 7.2 million farmers have been brought into the single national digital database. We now know who they are, where they are, what they grow, and what they need. And with that knowledge came the power, not for brokers,